Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we're going to be going over what if you did that impossible thing. This is kind of like a more specific spin-off of the yes or no concept we've talked about before. So we are going into, well, what happened? Should you do it? Should you not do it? What would benefit you from then? What would support you? What would block you? Why shouldn't you do it? Why should you do it? Kind of thing, like whatever is popping up. And this is just a really great way to not only add to you wishing and dreaming more of yourself and your life, but it is also then going into understanding. Because if it is a no, well, why is it a no? And could it be a yes in another way? And if it is yes, what can you do in order to pilot it to be a yes and get the best possible option? And of course, above everything, you know how I'm always like this, what does it all mean in the end? And how does it come back to you? Because I mean, think about it. Why is this thing in itself? And this is just some food for thought. I would actually really love to know in the comments below, both if you're comfortable, with what is this impossible thing? And then the second thing, I would love to know personally, why do you feel it's impossible? Like, do you think it's possible for other people? Or do you think it's impossible in general? Do you think it's just impossible for you? Like, I would love to know that. And this is kind of diving deeper into that concept as a whole, which is, you know, how much I love that. In addition to that, if you guys are interested, I always post a lot of videos over on Patreon. Just some of them I'll name. I've posted a lot that I'm not going to name them all right now. But recently I did one where I did a whole guided meditation. It's a timeless one where you can go and meet the spirit of your zodiac sign. And this is for all of them. So this is for sun, moon, rising. I mean, you want to do your Venus? Go for it. And essentially you get to go get a message from them. And this is really important. It's meant to be a message for whatever's like most current, like right now, what's most specific to you. And basically the spirit of the zodiac signs really wanted people to do it often, like every day if you can, kind of thing. And then I also did a whole video about just everything possible I've experienced and known about aliens, and just like, you know, is it potentially possible? Like, what does it mean if you do have a past life as an alien? I went to the Akashic Records to look up about the spiritual meaning behind makeup, which was really interesting. I also did it for Stonehenge as well. And I believe I did something else. Oh, I did a whole drawing of and talked in a lot of details about different kinds of angels, and just showed kind of, because they're very private, so I was really excited I was allowed to talk about it, essentially. And that was really fun and cool. So if any of that interests you, and I got tons more, it's over on Patreon. It's there. It's a really fun place, really beautiful community. Come join us. Anyways, back to our reading. Please now like the video. It really helps me out. It's been a while since I've made one, so please help this video get views and, you know, seen. Either way, love you guys so much. And we've got 4 groups in front of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to take a moment to contemplate this impossible thing, or even you can be vague and just think the intention of impossible thing and think of it. And you're asking yourself, you know, what if? And then pick the group for you. I'm going to give you a moment to do that. Beautiful! Guys, I love you so much. I'm just happy to be with you. I'm happy to be back. And I'd love to know how you've been doing. But other than that, let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's find out, what if you did that impossible thing by looking at the cards. First, we have the World card in reverse. The 10 of Pentacles in reverse, the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, the Four of Cups upright, and the Emperor in reverse. Give me one moment to look at the specifics of this. And I just want to consult my spirit guides on one or two details. So I'll be with you one moment. Interesting. Okay. So this reading is going to initially sound one way, but stick with me here. We need to go over the whole thing because some changes need to be had, so to speak, and it will all add up in a really positive, beneficial way, but just stick with me here. So first we have you being represented, and I would like to even call this a confirmation a card, was something I refer to in my tarot course that you can find below if you're interested, where it shows that when you are using the cards, whoever you're communicating with or the cards themselves is basically saying, hey, we hear you, we're aware of what you're doing, kind of thing. Anyways, so going on over here, this is showing you saying, hey, I would like this thing. So instead of it being something so much more action-based, and I guess there is technically action in the act of asking for it, but it's like the opportunity or situation, whatever it is that you're stepping into, already exists, and you're essentially saying, hey, I would like to be involved with this. I'd like to be hired for this job. I'd like to be involved with this person, that kind of thing. It already exists and you want to enter that space, so to speak. Now, the Seven of Pentacles in reverse is really important, I would even say also a theme card here. So we're going to come back to this concept. But when you have a Seven of Pentacles situation, it's not a fun feeling. You're essentially putting it all out on the line and waiting to hear back, hey, what do you think? It tends to represent when you feel like you're waiting a while, which is something that definitely carries out over here and showing me that, you know, you're like, when's it going to happen? I feel like I'm pretending to envy you. I feel like I've been clear enough about what I wanted with the people around me. And the thing is, we can see you over here almost like buttering up the other person, being like, I'm serving it on a platter. I'm trying to make myself as appealing as possible. What do you think? Now, as you can see, it's a no-go. There is a resistance, just a sort of an, I don't want to say snobby, but it is a little bit like, I don't want it, or nope, not going to happen kind of thing. The main problem over here is the Emperor in reverse. My spirit guide said that the person in particular that's like preventing this from happening, apparently you have a past life with them, and they unconsciously, so they don't know this consciously, unconsciously, they're aware of this. And in that past life, unfortunately, you hurt them. And so this is sort of them playing that out as kind of like, well, now I'll hurt you, and now I'll push back to you. But they don't consciously know this. So because they don't consciously know this, the no, and this is something just to keep in mind that will make you feel less sensitive about the manner, it's like they're saying no to you, but they don't have a good reason. Even if they make a reason, you could argue, well, that doesn't make sense. They technically have this attribute to them, or they have this skill or this experience or something like that, or they're lovely in this kind of way, or you're saying you won't hire or be with them for this reason, but then look over here, like this other person can do it. So it just doesn't really quite make sense why they're saying no, but they are very firm in that decision. Now I can see that's extra frustrating. Now don't worry, we're going to spin this around. But it is important to go over this because imagine this is the perspective of you heading in this direction of the asking and then waiting to see the response for the opportunity and situation. But then behind you is like, well, what are you leaving behind? What are you trying to escape? Over here in the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, my spirit guide specifically referred to it as held finances held. And they also said that in the World in reverse, it feels like your own personal world isn't clear in a conclusive, like determining way, and you therefore don't feel comfortable. It's like your position in life feels open-ended. You don't feel like, yep, and this is who I am, and this is where I'm staying, and this is who I'm with, and I work this job. It feels like you have this bigger thing you're moving towards, this dream, this situation, and it can't seem to quite come to completion, and you're aware of it and frustrated. You're trying to change that. You're trying to, again, do this impossible thing to change that. So it's like, well, if this is a no, then what are you going to do if this is also not a way you want to turn back to or a comfortable setting for you? Now, this is when my spirit guide said something that I was like, oh, yep, totally, this is it. Because like, this is what I was seeing too. So having this like extra confirmed is just such a cherry on top of the sundae. And it's actually an analogy they use to describe what you're going to do. So they said, in this setting, you are always waiting to join an opportunity rather than create your own. And that's actually the problem, that everything that we talk about here represents how you in fact are exhibiting yourself. You are exhibiting yourself in a standstill situation. And that might be frustrating here initially, because when you're in a standstill situation, you're like, but what else can I do other than wait until somebody says yes? Well, that's the point that me and my spirit guide are essentially saying, that you're not meant. I'm so sorry about the interruption. I'm trying to remember where I was at. When it comes to this concept and idea, the standstillness only continues because you're not meant to be in this type of position. So this means you have to be an opportunity creator. The way that my spirit guide also expressed it is they said, if you were ever in a position where an opportunity is make or breaking your entire lifestyle and existence, this is not the position you essentially want to be in. You want to make it so that your life at all times is great in all these other avenues as best as you can to the position of wherever you're at. And then that whatever, opportunity it is or position you're creating for yourself or whatever is just a beautiful cherry on top of your sundae, is how my spirit guide described it. Again, back to that metaphor they were bringing up. And so an example is, let's say you are like, my goal is, I want this job. It's a dream job. I'll make more money. Maybe you'll move to some cool new place, that kind of thing. So understandable. That's very make or break. That would change a lot of situations for the better for you, right? Okay, so in this particular position, you would want to be like, okay, how can I have the most fun outside of the current job I'm at? How can I start planning and figuring out a way to save money and create a trip for myself? It might be not be for a little while, but at least, hey, if I'm not going to get this job opportunity, I still get to travel. I'll figure it out. And then the list kind of goes on for then creating your own little fun get-togethers with friends, that type of thing, so that if you didn't get that job, you'd be like, well, I actually have a pretty great life now. And then everything else kind of works itself out because you're no longer letting it be the thing that controls you. It's more getting the luxury to join you. Does that make sense? And so again, same concept. Let's say you're like, okay, my situation is to go out of my comfort zone and make new friends. I'm not very good at it, right? And that would be the asking type of situation. What if instead of the asking, you went out of your way, because there are actually a ton of ways you can go reach out to people. It would be a little weird at first, but just getting the ball rolling, where literally like tons of local libraries have like social type events where you can like play chess or do crafts or do some sort of conversational language club or something like that. There's, I think meetup.com is still a thing. You can do that. You can do Bumble. I mean, because I think Bumble does have like a friendship thing. So the point is, it would be this concept of you being like, I'm going to go join this thing. I'm going to go look out. I'm going to go seek this club, or maybe you create the club. that would actually be a better situation in relationship to the way my spirit guide's putting it. Maybe you're gonna I'm gonna go create a club for people who like crochet and knit or something like that, and I'm gonna just reach out to the ether and have people come join me. I'm gonna make it where it's happening rather than going out and asking people to come join me and make friends with me. Do you see what I'm saying? So essentially, this is one of those things where like the best way I can put this is just some sort of like okay, sorry, let me double check something really quickly. Hold on one moment. Okay, it's just the spirit guides chatting with me. Sorry, I can hear like kind of like a thump. It doesn't quite make sense where there would be a thump. So just making sure it's my spirit guides. Anyways, back to what we were saying. So whenever your life is in a position where you're like, feel like it's frozen, you just always do the opposite. It just always seems, it's like every bit of evidence is showing you, hey, we got to do it a different way. And so that's just something to think about going forward in the future. So remember, while this impossible thing might not be the thing that works out for you this moment right now, that doesn't then mean that you can't reach out for another similar concept or opportunity, or maybe there's somebody else you're interested in, or you can approach it a different way. But we know now the way to approach creating these scenarios rather than waiting for the response of someone else's. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this drastic positive change in your life with a better comprehension. And now it's a little clue to anytime you notice this pattern happening, you know what to do. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good jazz. Leave a comment. Love you so much. I'll see you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out what would happen if you did that impossible thing by looking at the cards. We've got the Queen of Wands in reverse. Look at her little high kick. Queen of Swords in reverse. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Knight of Swords upright, and the Tower card upright. That's a lot of energy. I mean, this is a lot of energy too. I'm so sorry. I'm already wrapped up into reading these cards. Give me a second. I want to work out some details and consult my spirit guides because I'm already getting a lot. So give me a moment. Oh my God, I gotta start reading these cards. I'm starting to trance out. Okay. When I say trance out, it's like, how do I say this? It can look like a bunch of different ways, but it almost feels like I start like closing my eyes. I feel like I'm falling into infinity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, whoa, wait. We're getting too wrapped up in the energy. So let's start off with the Ace of Pentacles here. And this is the representation of the impossible thing, you doing it kind of thing. What's really interesting here that my spirit guide pointed out is they really showed that it involves this idea of you giving something. So the thing is example, let's say you started a business, right? And so there would be products that you need to give to people. I keep being shown very vividly like a concession table at like what would be like a convention, and it's sort of like you have these little trinkets you're selling. That's kind of what I keep being shown very intensely over and over again. But what's really interesting here is we have two ends of the spectrum. We have what's kind of like in the way, and then what's the support. And these are all very important because there's a lot of intensity behind both of them, which then creates kind of like almost a counterbalance and simultaneously can be both helpful and very hurtful all at the same time. So let's talk about all of it so that we can switch around the hurtful things to be helpful, and we can make the helpful things more conscious to you so that you can benefit from them. So when we see you in the direction of actually doing the impossible thing, we first get greeted by the Queen of Swords in reverse, and both of these do actually represent you. It shows somebody who is intensely overcritical. This is really important to acknowledge because the Queen of Swords is smart, super smart, and when she is in reverse, she can kind of cut herself down or others in a very intense way that it's kind of hard to push against because her logic feels so sound to both herself and others that people, if they get told something very harshly by her, they're kind of like, she's not wrong, and so, but I see you doing it more to yourself. And there's this logic in your head where you're like, well, am I wrong? And here's the thing, and I love how my spirit guide put it. They said, the reality is your opinion is not the only one that matters. That in fact, the opinion of, for example, if you were starting a business, the person of the people receiving whatever it is that you're giving out also matters. And they feel, and this is how my spirit guide put it, they feel the opposite of you. Now, it's not to criticize somebody who's in a self-critical state. I want to be clear about that. That's not what's happening. But it's a great way to counter that logic with other logic. And so it's like, yes, you might think with absolute clarity, this thing you made wasn't good enough. But that doesn't mean everybody shares that. Okay? And what I love about that is a great way of slowly overcoming this perspective you have. Because over time, you might be able to see it in a new light and realize what you have to offer is a lot better than you're aware it is. But it is something that you can do to help yourself when you feel that inner narrative coming in, that you feel like, you know what? I hear myself, but we're not going to feed that today. We're going to actually allow other people to come in, and they're the ones that matter right now. If they're going to, buy the thing, receive the opportunity, do the impossible thing with me, then let's give them the opportunity to shine before I cut it off. Let it be a two-partner system, so to speak. And you can think of it that way. Now, when we get through that self-criticalness over here, and keep in mind, it is a high compliment to your intelligence, but it is something to be aware of, that you almost like stop yourself from it starting. That's the biggest thing I pick up from this blockage. It's a lot of you being in your own way for that reason. Interestingly enough, is the Queen of Wands. Now, the way my spirit guide put this is they said, someone who feels they don't need to try hard. And what I loved how they extended this concept again is they basically described you as extremely likable, and traditionally Queen of Wands is a very magnetic person, which is a perfect person who's going to be, if you're in a position where you're giving it out, and this impossible thing involves that type of activity, oh my gosh, you would want to be a magnetic person to bring people in to receive it. But the problem here is when we talk about the feeling that you don't need to try hard enough, is that you're not then benefiting. It's like, yes, the likability factor is there with you. Yes, you have this quality of bringing people being in. And this, a big thing I'm really heavily picking up from you is like, you're just naturally good at this stuff. I mean, to be honest with you, and this is not, I don't want to fuel this, I want to be clear, but people who tend to be very self-critical tend to be super talented. It's like they got super talented by editing themselves and asking more of themselves. Not from the healthiest mindset of motivation, but nonetheless, it's a common factor I've seen personally. So it's interesting, there's the part where you feel like you need to try hard with the main concept itself, but then when it comes to then getting it out there, it's like another way you get in your own way is you're just like, I don't feel like it's worth the effort. I don't know if I really feel in the mood to socialize or turn on the charm or something. And again, I started saying, listen, you already have those qualities, but you do need to engage with them and practice them and put them out there and turn everything up to a level 10 of charisma and stuff like that. Because you have it, and so if you used it, you would have a leg up on everybody else. But if you don't, you then don't get the full benefit of what you already wield, essentially. Now let's talk about this support system over here, because we've talked about what gets in the way and how to change that. So in the Knight of Swords, this is just like you will jump into an opportunity. You don't need to look everything up. You don't need all the answers. There's a certain winging it quality of like, it's going to work. Like, let's go for it. Let's get into this. Let me just double check one thing with my spirit guide just to make sure I'm accurate about this. I was saying winging it, and I could feel like the tiniest pull percentage of you guys saying like, no, I'm type A. And so I wanted to double check with my spirit guide, like, did I, pick that up correctly? And they said there's a small percentage of people here that are type A, but mostly go with the winging it. That's like, that's the accurate path we're going down. So what's so great about that is this is a huge strength for you. Knight of Swords do know what they're saying. They're going to go in there and they're great at like being able to win people over. They're really great at making a point and sharing their opinions. Again, we talk about how valued Queen of Swords, whether it's upright or reversed, their opinion matters to other people. And same thing here with the Queen of Wands, you could argue. And so here we have all this gusto and energy of like, you will, when you feel motivated, like jump into a situation and people can feel that. They love it. What's great about this energy is it almost helps you bypass this mindset. It's like if you can follow the urge and the sudden pull to be like, oh, I can feel my spirit guide like heavily being like, dude, yes, go in this direction. Because this is what I'm really picking up from you as an additional support and strength in here is like, definitely wait and feel until you feel the pulls. Because if you feel the pulls, and when I say feel the pull, I'm referring to like the sudden urge to like, oh, yes, let's go do this thing. Yep, this is where I'm supposed to be. When you feel it and you feel that motivation kick in, it is so strong, it is so influential, people feel so magnetized by it, they agree with what you have to say, you feel like you're not in your own way, you're excited, you're happy, and it's a great way of bypassing these blockages where if you slow down, you'll get in your head in those kind of self-sabotagey, self-conscious kind of ways. Again, not a criticism, everybody's got their own inner battles, who hasn't been there kind of thing, but this is a great way to play to this strength when you're in a better mood, more motivated to help get you there out there. But then the other thing that's in your support system, which might seem kind of like, how do I say this? Sometimes when you hear certain information, you don't realize how valuable it is to you. But keep in mind, when I communicate with my spirit guides, and technically yours, so because it's like a hodgepodge, these beings put out the most prevalent information to you. And in the Tower card, we're showing that you have built up this energy where you have been needing for a while. Oh my God, I can hear my spirit guide going, my spirit guide's like crossing their arm and they're like kind of like giving a knowing like, oh, and they go, a while, like really emphasizing it with you. This drastic change in your life. You've needed we need something different, we need a different lifestyle, we need to be doing things differently kind of feeling, and it's very intense and very strong. And what's so cool about this is once you're like, okay, I'm doing this impossible thing, the support you have is that you just needed to make the decision to do it and be in the mindset that you're dedicating yourself to this drastic change. And that energy is just going to like support you on another level. This is bringing opportunities in. This is resources being easier to get. This is running into like, so again, back to the business concept. If that was an idea you were messing around with, bringing people naturally to you at the right time and right. I mean, like it just, you have been sort of marinating in this sort of explosive energy that's like waiting for you to just pull the plug, so to speak, and get forward with this, which is so in alignment with everything else, which makes sense. It's like surrounding your entire being in and out, which is really fun. So go for that impossible thing, but keep all of these things in mind to get out of your head and know what's benefiting you in order to just skyrocket in the highest level of success and enjoying the process as possible when going for that impossible thing. So love that for you. Please let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment. I love reading what you guys say. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, let's find out what would happen if you did that impossible thing by looking at the cards. We've got the 3 of Cups upright. We've got the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. Oh my God, look at the little seal. Oh my God. Don't you hate it when you just like short circuit? We've got the 2 of Cups in reverse. We have got the 7 of Cups in reverse. And we have the 10 of Swords in reverse. Give me a moment to look at everything, look at all the details, and consult my spirit guides. And I will be with you in one moment. Okay, so first we start off with the main important concept, which is the opportunity itself, or the situation itself, the impossible thing. So my spirit guide said that you will get whatever it is you wish for in equivalency. So they said you want to be extremely honest and clear with yourself. What is it that you want? So you want to, and we're going to expand off of that concept more, but you're really going to be asking yourself, is this what I think I want? Is this what I think society wants me to want? Is this maybe what I think I want in relationship to, like, so let's say this was a person, right? And you were asking someone out romantically or something like that. For example, you would say to yourself, is that what I think they want? You want to be really clear. What is it? And just to make it even more simplified, definitely make it easy for yourself by being like, so let's say it was a relationship, right? You would say to yourself, I would like to be loved. And within that love sphere, love looks like this to me. And then you would be very clear about like whether those be actions or they're very verbally expressive, or maybe they put you first or whatever that is. But you'd be very, very, very clear what it is that you exactly want out of that. And that will then, that will help make it more clear in that concept. But my spirit guide was really stressing the clear part, because we look over here in the 7 of Cups, which is great. You can see that you're excited. These opportunities potentially could be multiple, like, people, jobs, that kind of thing. But I get more drawn to this concept of like, when you're thinking of the smorgasbord of what you possibly could want from this impossible thing, it feels so exciting. Like, ooh, and I could want this and I could want this. But the thing is, as much as all these contradicting things sound fun together, you want to be clear. You want to be like, nope, I know for certain I want this. You know what I mean? So going forward with that concept and idea, then we have the 10 of Swords. Now in the 10 of Swords in reverse, my spirit guide said, you want to really think back to any time something ended and, you were like, I'm done, this isn't great, whatever. And by reflecting on this, you want to reflect on your patterns, because your patterns were the thing that were pulling you back into these situations where when they ended, it was a strong, like, and we're done, and it's done, I don't want to ever see it again. And by acknowledging that will help you rethink these things, but it will also simultaneously add to your specific list, because you will then say to yourself, okay, I for sure know I didn't like this experience, or I don't want to be treated this way, or I thought I wanted this and it was this experience and I didn't like it. And you need to be conscious of that idea. Like a good example is, sometimes people can be attracted. So again, we're using a romantic partner as an example in this. Sometimes people feel drawn to a romantic partner because there's something elusive about them. There's something mysterious. But in reality, they were emotionally distant because they weren't that interested in the other party. They weren't valuing them enough. So you might want to be more specific and be like, I like if my partner looks cool, but I do want them to be quite clear that they're into me. You know what I mean? Like, they can have that cool look, but I don't want it to also come with emotional distance. You see what I'm saying? And that being more clear what it is you want type thing. Now, this is really interesting additive information my spirit guides were adding. They said in the Four of Pentacles in reverse, you want to avoid anything where, and this is the words they used, they said where anything is stewing, which I feel like is a perfect word. If something's sitting for too long, it's stewing. And they said that whether that be for you or the other, whatever energy you're matching, person, opportunity. So for example, you're getting a job and you find out that that job opportunity where they were trying to find someone to place it has just been, they haven't found anyone to fill it for like 10 months. It's like, that's not the place for you. That's not it. But then simultaneously, let's say you've been really working hard and trying, and let me just double check one thing with my spirit guides. Okay, so I was using the job as an example, and I said, if it was taking a while for you to get a job in said, like whatever like genre your job is, does that mean that's also stewing? And my spirit guide said, no, you would instead want to think of it more as the field. So let's say you were a researcher and you wanted a job in research and you were actively trying to find it in, I'm so sorry for the cost, I don't know where they're coming from. You were actively trying to find a job in like a museum, right? And let's say it just wasn't happening for you. Little did you know, maybe you were meant to find a research job in a library. Or maybe there's this really cool company that almost has a museum-like inventory you'd be looking through, but it's not considered a museum. Do you see what I'm saying? So that would be an example of you looking outside of that genre field, so to speak. And I can see my spirit guide nodding to that. Okay, good. We're all on the same page. So then we have the Three of Cups. Now, I think this is a really fun one, but they said, when it comes to this impossible thing, you really want to marinate in the fun, which is such a great way of putting it. You want to make sure you're having fun, that the situation is fun, lots of laughing, lots of lightheartedness, feeling like you just don't want to go home because you're having such a good time kind of thing. But remember, there is, like, again, we're using relationship as an example. There's the, oh, this is romantic, this is love, I don't want to go home. And then there's the like, oh my gosh, this was so fun and I don't want to go home and I'm also into them. So keep that in mind, because they said that the fun will act like a glue that will enable this impossible thing to have longevity behind it. And that's something, let me just ask my spirit guide if that's like a long-term thing with you. Ooh, my spirit guide went like this, went like always is going to be a thing with them. So that's just something to keep in mind going forward with anything you're going into. So remember, this is important. When you go to do this, I kind of get the heavy, and I'm not trying to like call you out here, but I'm getting a very heavy energy that you're very dreamy, very maladaptive dreamy. And when you go to ask for things, it is more than okay that you want to romanticize things, but sometimes you romanticize things that ultimately are not what you actually really wanted. Maybe you weren't really aware of what that concept could be like, or you didn't put more thought into what that could really mean to you and your needs. And so this is you being like, okay, if I get what I want in equal measure, then I got to really research what that means. I need to understand that I'm not saying no or sacrificing certain things, but I'm being more conscious of what actually hurts and helps me. And I'm leaving my patterns in the past. I'm being conscious of them so they don't keep repeating. I'm self-acknowledging, self-accountability that they are patterns that are from your wishing. Like you're a powerful manifester. So you need to be more conscious of what it is you're manifesting. But then simultaneously, I love that you're being asked, in order to create longevity in your life with whatever it is you create for yourself, it needs to associate with fun. And in order to save yourself the grief of, should I go for this, should I not? It's just easy for you, whether this impossible thing involves a romantic partner or not, a career opportunity, whatever. Maybe you want to try out this new skill. If you see that it's marinating too long in you or in the opportunity itself, quick, simple answer, get out of there if it's marinating too long. If it's not, go for it. You know what I mean? So, and just to give you an extra answer, because I can already feel like you're asking, marinating too long is not like 2 or 3 months. Marinating too long is like 8 months, a year, past 6 months kind of thing. That'll be an easy, I can hear my spirit guide chiming in. Yeah, 6 months is your cutoff. That'll be a cutoff if you've been marinating onto it too long, or vice versa, the other situation or party. So I'm excited for you. This has got a lot of fun, sweet, dreamy, but needing to be a little more focused energy. And I can't wait to hear about it. And please share in the comments below. Leave a like. I want to know what you think in the comments below. I love you guys so much. I can't wait to... Oh, don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for our last group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out what would happen if you did that impossible thing by looking at the cards. Got the 4 of Swords upright, 6 of Pentacles in reverse, 6 of Swords in reverse, Ace of Wands in reverse, and the Chariot card upright. I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty straightforward one. Give me just a second to look at all the details and consult my spirit guides. Keep having like a tickle in my throat. Oh, wow. Oh, I love this for you. Okay, this is an extremely positive one, but it is important that you pay attention to the additional details being said after the initial answer, because you don't want to get in your own way is the best way I can put it. But let's get into this. So first we have the Chariot card, just like an immediate, and this is really important to understand. Spirit guides, when I do tarot reading specifically, it's different when I go communicate with them in the spirit realm directly, but when I'm doing it through the physical world with tarot, spirit guides tend to, when they're corresponding with you guys, like kind of build things up before they get to the point, because the other things are important to the point. So I want to acknowledge that this is really kind of rare and beautiful, that right away in the Chariot card, they're like, absolutely, without a doubt, this thing is going to work out for you better than you believe, like absolute wonderful, like do it, it's going to happen, like guarantee kind of thing, which is like, oh my gosh, like yes. But it's really important, the surrounding ideas around it, because while this like really positive, wonderful thing you didn't think could possibly happen happens, there's this surrounding energy where it makes a lot of changes in your life. In the Ace of Wands in reverse, we want to look at the imagery of the snake. We want to think of the snake in this particular occasion. Keep in mind, spiritually, snakes tend to pop up as sort of like healers. So keep that in mind if you ever like run into a snake or you're in the spirit guide kind of thing. That's usually a very positive sign of that stuff. So keep that in mind. But in this particular scenario, my spirit guide was saying that it represents like the concept of like the venom, the poison. And you want to think of the hand as them burrowing or removing anything poisonous to your life. And that then gets extended upon in the Six of Swords in reverse and gets confirmed again in the Four of Swords upright, which we'll get to. But what it means here is anybody who's been poisoning you, so maybe making you think that you weren't good enough, thinking this was all that was going to amount to your life, thinking things were harder than they really are, things like that. You might not even know that they're poisoning you, maybe to your face or even behind the scenes. The spirit guides are stepping in very intensely and removing them. Now, the reason why this is so important is you might be like, man, why is that friend who I normally am easily able to hang out with, why are they gone all of a sudden, not available? Man, it's something bad that this person doesn't want me to take care of them anymore. Things like that. You might run into those self-conscious thoughts, but the spirit guides are like, don't even think that for a second. This is sort of like a gift they're giving you. They're taking it away so you finally can just fully enjoy this and realize that these other things have been slowing you down. And don't let it further slow you down by even letting it distract you for a moment or make you think self-conscious thoughts that in any way apply to you, because they don't apply to you. They apply to you in the sense that these things were negative for you, but they don't apply to your worth or not what you're not capable of kind of concept. Now that idea gets extended upon in the Six of Swords in reverse because it shows like it's the guarantee, like you were always going to make your way to this goal. But one of the biggest reasons why it's taken so long to make this happen, and something the spirit guides don't want you to, I can feel them really like intensely being like trying to give you this message. They don't want you to do this to yourself anymore. These people, these other beings, were holding you down, and it's sort of like you didn't even think anything of it because you were like, well, they need help, or, I can't be rude, or they have nobody. And it's always this concept where you feel like you need to take them with you as you still try to apply your dreams, and you're not aware that they were weighing you down, that this is essentially not your responsibility. But keeping that in mind, we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. In the Six of Pentacles in reverse, this is often somebody who's extremely generous and people tend to take advantage of it. And you've been taken advantage of for a long time now. But the beautiful thing is the spirit guides were like, don't stop being a loving, overgenerous person. This isn't a quality you need to curb with inside you. And this is and they also kind of implied that your kindness and generosity is what's really led to the Chariot. Like, how do I say this? Not everybody needs to live their life in this manner of being overgenerous. This doesn't have to be the goal for everybody. But these are honorable, lovable traits within you. And it's sort of like there's already an awareness you have in yourself that other people need to learn through life lessons that you don't need to go through, where you already value human life. You already value people's individual stories or worth. And that is a thing the spirit guides want to. And keep in mind, punishment and rewarding is not technically really a thing. I guess you could say I hit it, Mike. Rewarding technically is a thing. Like anytime you have a positive epiphany or you take care of yourself or you decide to learn or be self-accountable, the universe really will like work with you and reward you. And this is them saying like, you've been just so loving for so long. They really want to like help know that you should keep living in that mentality and personality and desires, because it's basically like it's a good thing. Like we want to help you with that. We want you to feel like it's worth it. That idea does get carried on in the Four of Swords upright again, because again, it talks about that concept that in the Four of Swords upright, that they are going to make sure that anybody that slows you down, sucks away your energy, makes you feel tired, they are disappearing. They are no longer going to be easy to get to. They're just going to just suddenly not be available. Someone else is going to be taking care of them, things like that. And take that as your opportunity to go focus on this and enjoy it. Keep being you, but probably be more conscious in the future. If you notice people starting to latch on, you are allowed to both be generous and have boundaries, which is really beautiful. So I'm really excited for you. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm excited to hear about your impossible thing if you feel comfortable sharing. Please also leave a like. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you next one. Goodbye.